Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to do the Uni Press Subject Recommendations tag. This is an original tag by BiblioAtlas, and she tagged me, and I'm thrilled to do it. Very fascinating. Enjoyed her video. I'll link it below. So what you do is you pick University Press books on a single subject, and you find 10 of them. And if you need to fill out with other publishers, that's fine. But the focus is really on, the specialized books. So I picked 8 that are University Press books and 2 that were not, but that are very specialized, so we'll see how it goes. The first is, and I'm going to concentrate on maritime matters, nautical matters. So first is one of these Oxford reference books, The Oxford Companions of Ships in the Sea, edited by Peter Kemp. Absolutely excellent volume. This is probably a reprint, I would think. So this came out, oh boy, long printing history. First published in '76, paperbacks from '88, and this is the 8th printing. So you go through here on anything really that about ships in the sea. So we have a thing here, burgoo, B-U-R-G-O-O, an old seafaring dish mainly of days of sail, a sort of porridge or gruel made of boiled oatmeal seasoned with salt, sugar, and butter. It had the merit of being easily prepared in the galley during rough weather. It was sustaining enough for seamen to perform the heavy work of the ship. But, like all things easy, it was apt to be overdone, and in many ships it became the daily evening meal of the crew because the cook was too lazy to prepare anything more elaborate, or the owner too mean to provide alternative rations. It thus became an object of dislike and derision among seamen. So that's interesting, and it's a word you will run into in nautical fiction from the age of sail. So if you didn't know what it was, you just go to this book and look it up. They have illustrations. Here's a list of maritime museums right over here. What else we got? Anything? There's Horatio Nelson, the legendary admiral. Here, a little bit of Marlin Spike seamanship going on there, and maneuvers. So a very, very handy book. And so if you read nautical fiction or if you're into maritime history, one I recommend, you can't go wrong. This next one here is a Naval Institute Press book. And for academic or university presses, probably technically, it does fit the academic part. It's not really a university press, although there's a connection with the Naval Academy in Annapolis, and the Naval Institute, it promotes the education, and the press is out of Annapolis, Maryland. The education and all that sort of research into, I guess, naval type things, Coast Guard, U.S. Navy, maritime history, strategy, navigation, all that stuff. So many of you will remember they actually do publish fiction. In fact, they are the ones who published Tom Clancy's The Hunt for Red October when no mainstream publishers would take it. So, or popular publishers. Like Naval Institute Press is mainstream, I guess. But. So this is Dutton's Navigation and Piloting. Now, see, there's going to be glare here. But, and this is a handbook to navigating and piloting a boat. So they teach you all about how to find your place on the planet. Here we have a sailor using a compass on a ship. Something I've done many times. Right here we have a buoy. So this is a standard work. So there's a whole section on aids and navigation, nautical charts, which you would have to know how to read. See if they got anything that makes it a nice enough image for you to No, not really. Notice to mariners, instruments for piloting, you know, your compass, your navigation plotting tools. Yeah, current and current predictions. So if you water currents you're talking about. So here's a tidal current table, which would help you to figure that out based on your location, day, time, all that sort of thing. How to use it when you're sailing. Plots. So it's a good standard reference. They do have a section here on polar navigation, which obviously you're near the North Pole, gets a little dicey. Celestial observations, lifeboat navigation, because of course you won't have all the equipment with you. So, handy book. This next one is from Stanford. It's one I just picked up, Stanford University Press, Stanford, California. This is The Life of Captain James Cook by J.C. Beaglehole. And there's the famous Nathaniel Dance portrait of Cook from 1776. So this is the standard work and standard biography. So that one has pride of place on my bookshelves. Then we're going to get into some more Naval Institute Press books. Make sure I have them in the right order. No, I didn't. So this is part of a series. Make sure I get the name of the series correct. Studies in Naval History and Sea Power. And I have two of these here. Make sure. Yep. The first one is Progressives in Navy Blue, Maritime Strategy, American Empire, and the Transformation of U.S. Naval Identity, 1873 to 1898 by Scott Mobley. So this is the sort of history in institutional history and strategic history that the Naval Institute Press is famous for doing. The Studies in Naval History and Sea Power advances our understanding of sea power and its role in global security by publishing significant new scholarship on navies and naval affairs. The series presents specialists in naval history as well as students of sea power with works that cover the role of the world's naval powers from the ancient world to the navies and coast guards of today. So this covers the period 1873 to 1898, and this next one by a different author covers 1898 to 1945, and that's Learning War, The Evolution of Fighting Doctrine in the U.S. Navy, 1898 to 1945 by Trent Holm. Naval Institute Press again. So with these couple volumes, you're covering a lot of, well, you're covering 1873 all the way to 1945 with the two volumes, and again the same series. This one came out in 2018. And the first one came out in 2018. So a couple Naval Institute Press books. And then on the same thing here, I guess we'll go with this one here. And also Naval Institute Press. This is The Coast Guard Expands, 1865 to 1915. New Roles, New Frontiers by Irving H. King. So History of the Coast Guard. This is from 1996. This book, I want to find the first one. I've never run into it. The Coast Guard Under Sail. I remember where we at here. Oh yeah, George Washington's Coast Guard. I'd really like to find that to go with this. I love Coast Guard history. Let me get some images here. Of course, I am a Coast Guard veteran, and so I very much enjoy this sort of thing. So it's a history of the Coast Guard. And then another Coast Guard one by the Naval Institute Press. And this is from a time and a theater of operations I was actually active in. This is called Red Crew. I wasn't on these ships. Fighting the War on Drugs with Reagan's Coast Guard by Jim Howe. Again, Naval Institute Press. And this one is from also from 2018. And it's all about the interdiction operations in the Caribbean. So another fun bit of reading. Then a more global history, and that's actually the subtitle. This is from Oxford University Press. And this is World War II at Sea, A Global History, Craig L. Simons. And I really enjoyed this. I mean, I've read many overviews on naval warfare in World War II. Samuel Eliot Morrison's abridged version, and like to get the individual volumes of his narrative of the war. But this Craig Simons one was really, really good. And this was, like I say, Oxford University Press. And this one was... Where are we at here for the date? Boy, they could make that print any smaller if they tried. They've got a lot of information to get in there. I think it was 2000. Yeah, it's 2018. So there's that one. Then I grabbed a couple volumes that aren't University Press titles because they still fill that role of a survey, a historical survey in one case. That certainly was something that would have been nice from a University Press. In this case, it's from Doubleday and Company, and it's Douglas Phillips Burt, The History of Seamanship. Absolutely fascinating book. This came out in 1971. So it's exactly what it says it is. We're making a dugout canoe. These are Welsh coracles, reproductions, but it's pretty cool. Here's a Cara from Ireland. Here we have a Trobriand Island canoe. So yeah, you can tell you're getting all sorts of different graph. Here's a Phoenician Assyrian bireme and an Egyptian warship. Here's a two-masted bireme. Amply illustrated, excellent narrative. Here you have a quadrant. So, fascinating, fascinating book. Now to finish out, this is the 10th edition, revised, 1941, of Knight's Modern Seamanship, my old beat-up copy. So this has been from the war. And it's New York, D. Van Nostrand and Company, Incorporated. And let's see here. So Admiral Cobb has the intro. No, not Admiral, Captain. Excuse me. So you have some of the ships of the time. Aircraft taking off on a ship. Being catapulted. You have steam steering gear. These are all fast. I can look at this stuff all day long. You think it's all pictures, but it's just because I find them fascinating. So a section on ship handling, piloting rules, inland and otherwise. So the lights you need to show at night so people know what's going on. Here's anchoring. Oh, I guess you can do that one that way. I need to flip it upside down here. So yeah, it's here we're putting the ship in dry dock. So fun stuff, fun to read. So yeah, there's let's see, Uni Press Subject Recommendations. So there's my recommendations. And it's an original tag by BiblioAtlas, and again, I appreciate it very much. So I'm going to go ahead and tag Alan Morton, Jason Harrigan, Ernest Lee Eston, and Jay Shea, and look forward to seeing what everybody does with this tag, and thank you, BookTube.